Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greer. I'm CEO of Secure Content Technologies, and I'm really happy to be here today with Martin Zugec. He's the Technical Solutions Director for Bitdefender. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you very much for having me.
So I'm really excited today. So our topic is the Bitdefender 2026 security predictions, and I found the report to be fascinating and read it thoroughly, and I'm kind of really anxious to talk to you about some specific topics. One, I think Bitdefender does a great job at separating hype from reality in these predictions. And so I'd love to see you tell us what you think the biggest gap there is between what's being hyped and what reality is.
Yes, and how much time do we have? Because I could talk for hours about this topic. It's
awesome.
Something that we are very proud actually at Bitdefender, the way how we approach these predictions. Because very often it's more like thought leadership content. We really try to do some research investigations, look at data, and do the realistic predictions of what we are going to see. And I would say that over the last few years, this has gotten worse on the market because there is a lot of hype. There is a lot of overinflated threats that, to be honest, when we look at investigations, we don't see any of that happening. So every year we sit down with our practitioners, we sit down with Bitdefender MDR team, we sit down with researchers from Bitdefender Labs, and we really try to look at what have we seen happening in 2025 and what do we expect we are going to see coming into 2026. And very often, I would say, our conclusions of what is going to happen are the opposite of what is being discussed in conversations on LinkedIn or other professional networks.
Very interesting. So one of the things you guys did point out was kind of an internal crisis of AI control. Can you elaborate on that for us and kind of give me your feedback on what you think that is, how important it is for us to pay attention to, that sort of thing?
So talking about prediction, there is no chance how you can avoid talking about artificial intelligence. Yeah, AI is the big thing. It's changing. It's like you cannot avoid that conversation. And I would say that typically what we are seeing is a lot of public discussions about AI being used for offensive purposes. So hackers using AI. And the reality is that when we look at investigations and real cases and the real incidents that we are seeing, we don't really see that. We see AI-generated malware, but it's mostly lower technical quality compared to established cyber criminals. That's how I would put it. So in our report, what we are doing is that we are arguing that you shouldn't very much worry about external AI threats, someone using AI to attack you. What should worry you probably more is the internal crisis of AI control. So what this means is how your employees are using AI and what they are going to share in there. That is a huge concern. The whole shadow AI should be the number one worry in regards to AI for your organization. And part of it are, I would say, two reasons. The first one that we talk about is that AI is being adopted by less technically skilled people. I think the comparison I used is Bob from accounting that is failing every phishing simulation, suddenly decides to use AI to make his daily job easier. We are definitely seeing that. The second related trend that was happening at parallel was organizations started adopting agentic AI. Using the MCP protocol, we did deep security investigations and reporting about MCP. It is not secured by default protocol, and we are seeing tons of very unsecure deployments in the field. And what it means is that smaller companies are rushing. Everyone wants to implement AI. The security checks are being skipped. And really what we are seeing happening is that a lot of organizations are building kind of completely new type of technical security depth that they will be dealing for a very long time. There is one really interesting case that was not in that report because this came out before the whole OpenClaw hype that is happening right now. So we actually ended up releasing security advisory about OpenClaw because we have seen hundreds of cases when employees just deployed this new unsecured AI agent on corporate devices. So we really starting seeing this crisis of AI control already in January. So this was very safe prediction for us to make because again, the rapid adoption of AI is outpacing the security at this moment.
So do you think that will continue to be, I assume, more ingrained in protection solutions to kind of control what AI solutions employees can use, which ones are safe for them to use within the company walls, right? Because once they're outside of the business, that's harder to control. But I think unsanctioned AI tools can be a real threat hole for customers. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, 100%. And we did actually interesting study with a mid-sized organization that had AI policy. They had like a corporate LLM that they decided to use, and we worked with them just to do assessment. And what we found out is that most of employees were using unregulated AI, even though this company had policy, they had corporate like enterprise licenses. We found like 16 different LLM engines that employees were using. So at this moment, I'm seeing this not really as hypothetical conversation. I'm seeing this as like, hey, these are facts. We are seeing this is happening today. So again, this is not as much prediction as just extension of what we've been seeing in the past and is getting worse every single year at this moment.
Interesting. And I took some notes because I had not heard of this before, but part of your report covered a topic called autonomous AI orchestrated malware becoming very dominant. Can you tell our listeners what that is, why the threat either is huge or maybe it's overestimated? Like I love the way you guys framed this in the report.
So it's part of the problem that we are having is attacks by AI can mean so many different things. And there is not really well-defined taxonomy that we could use. So generally speaking, if we talk about malware only, so we ignore social engineering, we ignore phishing, we ignore deepfakes. In relationship to malware, there are generally speaking two approaches. The first one is vibe coding or AI-generated malware, where the attackers are just creating new versions of malware using LLM. And for these threats, they are pretty much by definition based on existing malware code. So I have these conversations quite often. People are worried about the AI constantly changing and shifting the malware. That is actually something that happened, over a decade ago. Almost all the malware that we are seeing today is alternating all the time. We call it polymorphism. So I can give you an example because we looked into the data. So at Bitdefender, we are seeing around 1.5 million new malware samples every single day. So the whole idea that AI will generate new malware, again, for us, it doesn't change anything. It's pretty much the same reality that we've been living in for a very long time. Then there is the second type of AI malware that's AI orchestrated. And really, with AI orchestrated malware, we are talking about AI replacing the hacker, replacing someone who's operating the malware itself or is responsible for executing the attacks. And we did quite a lot of investigations into AI orchestrated attacks. And at this moment, uh, I would see them as a big hype, and the reality and the practical implications are way behind. So one of the most common misunderstandings that we are dealing with all the time is we all know cyber criminals are becoming more sophisticated. Most people, when I say they are becoming more sophisticated, most people are going to think more sophistication means they are using more complex tool. And the reality is complete opposite. The more sophisticated attacker you are, the less tools you need. Your sophistication is more how quietly you can how quietly you can achieve your objectives. So in reality, what we are seeing by far, as like the most common method of attack today is what we call living off the land attacks, where the threat actors don't even use any malware. They just get inside the network. They are using the tools that are built into Windows. They are using the remote management tools that are available in the customer environment. So most modern attacks are completely malware free. So from that perspective, pretty much all AI attacks are technical. There is technical regression of these attacks. They are less sophisticated than modern attacks led by humans. Is it going to change over time? Yeah, almost certainly. Is it something we should worry about 2026? Not really. It's good to monitor. For us as security researchers, it's fascinating. But again, part of the problem, generally speaking, in security is we tend to underestimate the basic threats, even though they are working really well and they are often more dangerous than the sophisticated threats. So another example I can give you is a lot of people are talking about the speed of execution of AI attacks and just the number of operations they can do. And again, in many cases, this is misunderstanding what is really dangerous in cyberspace. So the fact that you are having very complicated malware gives us a lot of opportunities to detect it. So the more lines of code you have, the easier it is to detect the malware. So if we look at investigations we are doing, for example, with state-sponsored groups, their malware is very, very simple, very small, very well hidden, and they really think about every single line of code they are going to put there. And similarly, if you have malware that is operated by AI and it is doing like thousands of operations, that is immediately something that your security operations are going to see because suddenly there is a lot of noise. So again, like as a professional threat actor, you want to achieve your objectives with minimum noise. You want to stay under the radar. You don't want to attract the attention of the SecOps team that is monitoring your environment. So again, like in many cases here, the way what feels right and what is the reality are the opposite things.
I find that all to be incredibly fascinating because, I've been in the security industry for 30 years, and even I can fall to the belief that things are so complicated, right? That they have to be more complicated every day. In reality, the quieter they are and the more simplistic they are, the more dangerous they are.
Absolutely.
Right? So, what would you say to organizations as they invest or plan their security for 2026 that they really need to take into consideration in their mind and focus on to protect their organization?
So the biggest recommendation by far is make sure you understand the difference between hype versus reality. Yeah, it's very easy for everyone to get excited about like exotic threats and the future looking predictions. And then you look at the real investigations, you look at the cases that we are researching, and you notice that the reality and kind of the how would I put it? The public discussions are just getting more and more far away from each other. So again, make sure you understand threat landscape, make sure you understand what are the biggest threats to your organizations. For 2026, again, I would say pay most attention to ransomware. Still number one threat for most businesses, and doesn't matter what's the size of the business. Understand that ransomware attacks are really manual hacking operations. That is what they are at the core. Look at opportunity, make sure that you have like all the security controls in place. So don't believe in silver bullet solutions where you like put all your eggs in a single basket. That's not really how it works. So in conclusion, what I would say is something that I have been saying every single year for who knows how long. Defense in depth work, multi-layered security works. Let's focus on these best practices that have been established long time ago and are still valid in 2026.
100%. That was just very enlightening. Thank you, and to all of our listeners, we'd love to share this Bitdefender 2026 report with you, help you educate yourselves on the difference between reality and hype. And that's kind of been a core part of my business for all the years that I've been in business, is not to advise people on security out of fear, but out of education, because that's where we can all be much more powerful and effective for our companies. So thank you, Martin. This was very enlightening. I know all of our listeners enjoyed it, and I did definitely appreciate you being here with me today.
Thank you very much.